What if I told you that Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's idyllic romance, which social media has hailed as a relationship goal, actually smells no relina, just fishy but completely musty on an emotional and spiritual level? Get ready for Jim. Jim didn't just speak up. He went nuclear, and what he's disclosing is the sort of messy thing that nobody, not even VH1 producers, anticipated coming. He just tore off the bandage from a 10-year love wound, and people couldn't clean what's coming out with a gallon of bleach. We're talking about sneaky recordings, twisted allegiance games, guilt techniques, and a relationship so poisonous that Instagram attempted to flag the details as emotionally disturbing. This heartbreak makes love and hip-hop feel like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. The question now is, why did Jim characterize Chrissy's love as stifling and premeditated? And more importantly, what evidence does he have to support going this far? This isn't just a breakup. Was Chrissy really truly in love? Or was this all a long-term scam with red bottoms and Chanel pearls? It's a heartbreaking crime scene that is being revealed to the world. So turn off your notifications, grab some snacks, and prepare yourself, because Jim just revealed all of Chrissy's private information. And there won't be a press release following this storm. Let's start at the beginning. When Jim and Chrissy first appeared on our screens, they deceived the entire society by arranging lavish vacations, proposing with inexpensive rings that somehow went viral, and claiming to be the pair that made love. Let's go back a bit. For years, Chrissy positioned herself as the best in hip-hop. But now Jim is openly labeling it all a fake, a performance, and a calculated trap disguised as romance. Fans are also holding their breath because the illusion is crumbling quickly. Behind the scenes, Jim claims that the woman who supported him during label wars, street brawls, and the embarrassing proposal rejection that took place during VH1 reruns wasn't holding him down. Rather, she was confining him in what sources are referring to as, a Jim admits in a leaked emotional breakdown, that was emailed to his inner circle, that the love he had was never liberating. Rather, it was shackled, controlling, and manipulative. I wasn't the one holding it, so let's let that sit for a moment. Jim, the same guy who gave us We Fly High, is now acknowledging that he was grounded in the worst way possible. He claims that their entire affair was based on mind games, emotional coercion, and tenderness that came with conditions. And that this wasn't just side talk. That's correct. Jim fired so many emotional bombs during a sealed deposition connected to a different VH1 litigation that the court stenographer had to request a break. One court official described Jim's voice as exhausted but at last free. This wasn't testimony. This was a full-scale purge with proof. Let's speak about receipts. It appears that Chrissy kept a thorough relationship ledger. A spreadsheet that lists every penny she ever spent on things like gym memberships, flights, clothes, bail money, haircuts, grills, and even teeth whitening trays, tracked with interest. But here's where it gets twisted. Chrissy allegedly used the spreadsheet as a weapon during arguments. For example, when Jim requested space, she allegedly answered, "I'm not going anywhere." With a score of 82 on 311 by 47. Is Jim attached to this project? Is the title of the documentary series Hostage Negotiation with Excel and Lipstick, which she purportedly pitched to 3 networks. But guess who she neglected to include? Jim Jones. Chrissy's response? No. But that's my version of events. And the sale fell through at that precise moment. But wait, this isn't where the issue ends. This is where the distinction between outright sabotage and public scandal begins to blur, because what followed wasn't just shade. It was a courtroom earthquake occurs as Cameron enters the chamber as though Karma herself had called him. He has a file folder marked Confidential C+J with a ton of Chrissy's evidence inside. He has no Hollywood strut or PR smile. One courtroom. Employee compared Cam's arrival to a calm before a legal cyclone. saying that his meticulously planned kingdom didn't merely tilt, but began to fall apart. He wasn't there to help anyone. When prosecutors opened that folder, everyone froze. First page showed a high-resolution bank scan, but it wasn't under Jim's or even Chrissy's name. Instead, it read, Cristina Santiago, with the identical date of birth and address that was previously connected to Chrissy's previous beauty brand. By the fourth page, a juror requested a break. No joke. But Cam merely warmed up and pulled out. The suspicious $25K, $50K, and occasionally $80K transactions offshore in the Cayman Islands were all marked as consulting services for a TV firm that doesn't even exist in any legitimate paperwork. Another shocking revelation was an invoice trail connected to a women's empowerment organization Chrissy led during her purported recovery period. Cam's legal team provided incriminating information about roughly $190,000 in donor funds that were purportedly transferred to private companies connected to Chrissy's personal brand. How was that money spent on image consultants, glam squad, advertising shots, and even a line item called Reunion Episode Wardrobe? Yes, it was allegedly used to stunt on reality TV using charity funds. By this point, Chrissy appeared to be. Her lawyer leaned in and murmured something. But she didn't blink or flinch. Instead, she just stared straight ahead, locked in the limelight of the courtroom. Then the camera showed a pixelated hotel corridor in Miami, with Chrissy wearing stilettos, pacing as if she had just received bad news. The phone was pressed to her ear and the audio was muffled but frighteningly clear. I Jim to turn it off, but he refused and the room went silent. Chrissy's lawyer then leaped up. I told you that if Cam talks, we're done because he has backups and proof. The prosecution rebutted the privacy issue, claiming that the video was legitimately obtained through a subpoena. The judge allowed the clip to be brought into evidence because it confirmed Chrissy's fears, as her entire image of the powerful ride-or-die lady was unraveling and being replaced with a portrait. In the final dagger, a former VH1 production, assistant wheel caller C came in. Her voice was trembling, but she was ready to burn it all down. Her first comments were, Chrissy used to bribe us by slipping cash under the table to remove parts that made she looked terrible. And I saw her threaten a senior editor, telling him that if he showed that footage, he would never work again. The jury trembled, and Chrissy eventually hid her face in her hands, but she wasn't finished yet. She also submitted fictitious invoices and claimed payment for travel expenses for projects that never occurred. She described the trip to Turks and Caicos as script development. But I was there for her birthday, and during it all, Cam sat in silence in the gallery, showing no emotion or smirk, just icy composure like a man who didn't need to. The truth was now blaring through the courtroom speakers, so no one could say anything more. Meanwhile, outside the courthouse, bloggers were live streaming Instagram and releasing updates every 2 minutes. Twitter was on fire and the memes were brutal, leaving Chrissy in tears, accompanied by the phrase, when you bet the house on manipulation and it goes for closure. Another image included Cameron wearing sunglasses while wearing a courtroom and reality TV cam. But the most graphic was a split pic with Jim and Chrissy grinning on the left. When the drama reached its climax, a black SUV pulled up to the courthouse's side entrance, outstripping Jim, who was wearing a hoodie with shadows under his eyes and no bling or security flex. During the VH1 year's right-side courtroom comedy with the headline Power Couple or Power Scam, silent determination, he walked right by the cameras, slid into the courtroom like a ghost returning to the scene, and sat behind Cam with his arms crossed and his lips pressed together. The judge saw him and said, "Would you like to speak?" Jim calmly and softly replied, I just want the truth out. I didn't know." Chrissy stood up and whispered something inaudible, and that was all it took. Jim didn't answer. He simply left again, and that video went viral, receiving tens of thousands of reposts. After Jim's final glance, Cameron didn't drop bombs. Instead, he launched a whole firestorm, and just when you thought the turmoil had peaked, Jim walks. Out on Chrissy in complete quiet while thousands of TikTok tabloids display bright red headlines. Chrissy breaks down, voice tape from none other than Mama Jones herself. Time-stamped only last year, was introduced as more evidence before the court was finished. The message was quiet but profound. You believe that woman loves you. She loves you. Control, wake up before you lose. The judge didn't simply nod in agreement. Instead, he issued an order because shortly after that memo, prosecutors dropped the hammer and joined forces with federal authorities to further investigate Chrissy's financial situation. Spirit, and your wallet is poetry, brutal and direct to the bone. History, her previous business manager was formally under federal scrutiny for years. And if these charges are confirmed, we're talking about tax evasion, wire fraud. Subpoenas were being sent out to target old production budgets, nonprofit filings, and company documents. The courtroom virtually froze as Chrissy dropped into her chair. With no words or tears, but a 1,000-yard stare of sheer shock, Cameron got up, zipped his blazer, and went without a final glance or mic drop. The world was riveted to every leak video and digital flame as the empire burned behind him. But, however, that wasn't the end of the narrative because Yandi Smith entered it and didn't just watch. She came to speak out about where Yandi takes. If you thought Cameron's folder was the big climax, you were mistaken. The courtroom had just begun to cool down when the doors flew open. And Chrissy's well-guarded house of cards encounters the kind of wind you can't block. Chrissy flinched as the name that made her flinch on Yandi Smith came in without warning. She marched through the front heels, echoing baby hairs, while holding a Bluetooth headset in one hand. Her attitude was icy as reporters yelled at her from outside. Inside, it was already tight, and Chrissy looked cracked, without makeup, wearing a sweatshirt low, as if the world were closing in on her. The paparazzi's names were scrambled, and the cameras flashed like warning shots. But Yandandi glanced into one of them and whispered, "Now it's my turn." She lighted the match after being sworn in, and even though Mama Jones had left the bench, Yandandi was locked in. Her opening statement quieted the chamber for 10 years out of reverence. But today, I speak to survive. According to Yandandi, Chrissy allegedly operated a backstage narrative control ring during the 2013 and 2014 LHH seasons. What does it entail? Bribes, threats, pressure on editors, and pressure on producers are all purportedly intended to change the story and paint Yandi as the villain while protecting one incident in Chrissy's actual life hit me like a ton of bricks. During a reunion taping, I had a panic attack backstage, and she informed production that I was being too dramatic for screen time. What she didn't mention was that she was the one who notified my ex where I would be so that he could corner me. Surveillance captured it, and they cut the video. Gasps reverberated throughout the room, and Chrissy blinked once before staring at the floor as if it would swallow her. However, Yandandi wasn't even halfway through. She took out time-stamped emails. Another Yandi's used to backlash, saying, "She'll survive. I won't, boss." This wasn't drama. It was dark arts PR warfare. Then came the burner phone. A genuine one from Chrissy to a showrunner said, "If I look bad, the whole show looks bad. Clean it up." An old phone that Chrissy allegedly used to contact off-the-record insiders during her tenure on the program was turned over by Yandi's legal team. The phone was used to coordinate false drama, paid feuds, and hush money for backup cast chats. Pay her $1,500. Tell her it was a refund for the wardrobe. Make her sign something so she can't speak, was the note that was buried. The courtroom froze, and then, in a shocking change of events, it was revealed that Yandandi and Cameron had been together. They spent months not only exchanging messages, but also creating a digital forensic trail that documented every alleged shady move done by Chrissy from 2011 to the present. Yandandi uncensored Chrissygate. The true love in hip-hop, and Twitter burst once more with hashtags flying like confetti. Toke took it down frame by frame, with one user writing, "She didn't." Clap back, "She held the whole thing." There was intentional silence. No more blogs posting side-by-side memes. Chrissy in court, hoodie up, head low, Yonda Day on the stand, pearls flashing, and a CEO-like posture. 10 years into the storm, another Yonda Day took photos of scenes from Marvel unveils post-credit, and just when Chrissy thought she couldn't take it anymore, the prosecution released the last audio file, which forensics confirmed was a 2019 recording of Chrissy on the phone with. If a VH1 producer leaks information regarding Jim's depression, it would divert attention from his mental health, which makes me appear to be a saint once more. The judge even took a long breath, and the bailiff appeared to be just when everyone believed he had plummeted for good. Jim delivered the ultimate blow. He emerged in court with his legal team by his side. No shackles, no chat, just exhausted. Eyes and legal documents. The judge asked if he would want to speak, and Jim stood, looked at Chrissy and said, just to set the record straight, I was unaware." 4 words. Chrissy crumbled. She stood and mouthed something toward him. "Maybe please." That clip went viral after Jim shook his head and left once more. He wants to ensure that nothing related to him is included in lawsuits or criminal investigations. So he has done everything he can to protect her, and the documents Jim gave in are stacked high. TikTok pieced together the reel's burst, and Twitter declared it the quietest mic drop in TV scandal history. A personal letter detailing years of claimed manipulation and financial abuse, mentioning bank records, asset paperwork, property deeds, and one line from that letter froze the courtroom. "I didn't want to see it, but in retrospect, it wasn't love." It was. The judge wasted no time in slamming down the gavel and declaring that this court finds reasonable cause to commence a criminal case against her. Chrissy didn't react, speak, or blink. Instead, she merely gazed at the floor in silence, following an inquiry into claims of financial impropriety, fraud, and coercion. Ms. Lampkin is prohibited from traveling and is required to relinquish control of all active business accounts with immediate effect. Her enterprises were shut down, and her reputation was destroyed. Chrissy and Jim's love story was dead and buried, but just when it looked to be finished, Mama Jones released a teaser for her own documentary series. "They attempted to remove me from the scene, but I managed." 2. Videos of Chrissy at invite-only events in black and white with narration show that some women create their own legacy while others take over someone else's. If this isn't the most outrageous, messy, and content-rich debacle I don't know what is, because this isn't just the one dirty receipt at a time. A couple's breakdown is destroying a dynasty. What comes next? Chrissy's legal team is frantically pursuing the IRS. And Mona Scott is reportedly developing a Love and Hip Hop spinoff that is already popular in group chats. That's all. From staged plots to covert wire transfers, burner phones, and blackmail. The Chrissy and Jim tale didn't simply end. It detonated, and now the fallout belongs to the feds, bloggers, subpoenas, and the public. Lampkin Files. And guess who's rumored to narrate it? Yuandon Smith. That leaves no room for mercy. But the real question is, was this ever love? Or was Chrissy creating her own fantasy, one red carpet and phony proposal at a time? Do you believe Jim was duped and deceived? Or is this just a nasty breakup masquerading as a show on Netflix? What about Yandandi, the truth teller with receipts, or the chess player with impeccable timing? Leave your uncensored opinions in the comments section and let it be known who is real, who is not, and who will be next. If you're still watching, you're already on the jury, so it's like having your jaw dropped. When the next leak occurs, you won't want to hear it secondhand, so if you want front row seats to the next explosion, hit the subscribe button and switch on the notifications. This isn't just a controversy. This is reality. This is battle. Our receipts. TV turned confession. Stay in courtroom, prepare to remain merciless, and we'll see you in the upcoming expos. What's next? What's next?